we're sort of doing a recap on what went on in this case. But is there a possibility, Mike, that there is blood evidence in the house and the prosecution hasn't released that yet?
Yeah. I mean, there's a we know just the tip of the iceberg's worth. There's a lot more information. Yeah, look, when we do your arrest affidavit and they include a lot of information, you only have to establish to the judge's satisfaction probable cause. You don't have to prove that your entire case to the judge like a prosecutor will at trial. You have to prove probable cause. There's probably a lot more, and they'll, of course, give that to Ann Taylor, but that's for the trial. Yeah, so I am sure that there's information about blood because in that kind of attack, he may have dropped just a few drops of blood is all is needed. I'm sure people were on their hands and knees collecting blood samples for weeks after that case. I would be shocked if I'd be really shocked if that was the only DNA that connects him to the case, besides the buccal swab. If that was his only DNA at the crime scene, I'd be really shocked about that.
Absolutely. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, then you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, hit the like button, share us with your friends, your family, your enemies. Maybe your enemies will become friends if you share an episode of Police Off the Cuff. Also, if you want to contribute to us, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels. We also have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels. And we appreciate all you guys that are subscribed, our friends, our family, even if you're not subscribed, if you're just listening to us. You know, this case is amazing because, you know, Mike, if there was blood, for example, if there's blood evidence inside this crime scene that comes back to Kohberger, is it all over?
To me, absolutely.
Well, I don't mean to you because you and I have a lower threshold of evidentiary meaning. And I think, yeah, if his blood was in that crime scene and they show that, look, in the O.J. Simpson case, and I always point back to this case, his blood was in the crime scene. And that wasn't enough. That was called jury nullification in that case, right?
Yeah.
But if in this case, where we don't have all those other issues involved, if Bryan Kohberger's blood is found in this crime scene, let's just put it another way. How powerful is that?
Yeah, Billy, I mean, you could talk about transferring, DNA. If he had been in that apartment or that house, if he'd been in there like in the beginning of the semester, maybe there was a party, welcome back to school party, and he got himself in there, and maybe he left some touch DNA on a chair or on a wall or something like that, you'd have to believe that DNA that was left over was touched by a detective and who then touched a perfectly clean sheath and then wiped the Kohberger's DNA on that sheath without getting his own DNA on that sheath. So, you know, it would be kind of a stretch to say, oh, that was transfers from another time when he was there. So that's ridiculous. Now you talk about blood. Okay, he may have been there. Maybe he did leave DNA on an ashtray or something like that. But people come to your house for a pool party, hanging out and drinking. They usually don't leave blood. They don't bleed in your house. You'd really remember something like that. So yeah, you know, yeah, if there's a drop of blood, or if he has taken a trophy, if he kept a trophy, like an ID from one of the girls or from Mr. Chapin or a picture, something like that, just something, if he just decided to take something as a trophy and they found it in Pennsylvania or something like that, or in his closet in Washington, that would, to me, I would think that would slam shut the door, because what's your explanation for that? Yeah, that'd be really powerful.
Absolutely. Jaded, he never stalked them. Did you not watch the last hearing? They admitted they had no proof of that. He never stalked them. You know, Jaded, you're 100% correct. And so much misinformation came out about this case because there was so much information, period, that much of it was not vetted and it was not correct. I mean, remember all the the food truck. My God, they had the guy that was standing near them tried and convicted, and he had nothing to do with it.
There was poor bartender.
Yeah, they had so many other false pieces of evidence in this case because people talk, how rumors spread. And remember the People magazine article about Bryan Kohberger had gone into the restaurant that both Kaylee and Madison Mogen worked at? That was totally not true. But it was put out by, I don't know how respected People is, but it was put out, and then it was reported by News Nation, Ashley Banfield, as if it was true. It was not true. It was absolutely not true. Jaded, not an opinion, it was facts. Why don't people still spread rumors is what I'm saying. They have zero evidence of him stalking any of them. Jaded, you're 100% correct. They don't. And you know something? We don't, but one of the things, Jaded, that we don't know for a fact, we don't know digitally, did he have any correspondence when any of the victims via Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or any of those things that I'm so unqualified even to talk about, but there's other, modes of communication. Did he have any of that? And does law enforcement have that as evidence? Those are some of the things that we don't know. But, as you said, that's why when I mentioned Howard Bloom, Howard Bloom is not qualified to talk about who he targeted first. He's a writer, and he's putting that out there as if he's investigated hundreds of homicides. He's just a New York Times writer who now writes fiction. So a lot of folks are taking this book as, oh my God, he's saying, I don't care what Howard Bloom says. I really don't. Mike.
Bill, yeah, don't buy. If anybody's out there who hasn't bought the book, don't buy the book. He's never investigated a single homicide. He's never been at a single crime scene. He's never worked a midnight to 8 in the Bronx or Brooklyn or Manhattan where somebody gets shot and you got to handle the crime scene, investigate, talk to people, he's never filled out a police report. He's never done any of those things. He's an imaginative writer. He's got a great style, but that's it. So everything that he's written in that book has been taken from open sources, stuff that he's seen on TV and from maybe Ms. Banfield and other places like that, court TV, whatever it happens to be, newspaper articles. That's what he's using as his sources.
Mike, to his discredit, and not to his discredit, to the media's discredit, they interview him as if he's this expert on crime. And, he's a writer. And I tell you the truth, he's an excellent writer. I will give him that.
Absolutely.
He's an excellent writer. I do not like the man. He's obnoxious and he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's an excellent, if you just wanted to buy the book because he's an excellent writer, he is. I'll give him that. He's an excellent writer. But it's the whole media thing where they're interviewing this man as if he's a former FBI, former DNA expert, former crime scene expert, former first grade. He's none of those.